dogs in the wet-nosed yards, and the cats nap in the slant corners or lope, sly, streaking and wheedling on the one cloud of the roofs. You can hear the dew falling and the hushed town breathing. Only your eyes are unclosed to see the black and folded town vast and slowly asleep.
Citizens of the galaxy, it's time to talk about a very serious matter. Are you prepared for an alien invasion? It may seem like something out of a sci-fi movie, but the threat may be very real. And that's why the Galactic Alliance is here to help. With our state-of-the-art technology and top-of-the-line defense systems, we're ready to take on any extraterrestrial threat that comes our way. But we can't do it alone. We need your help, citizens of the galaxy. So if you see something suspicious, say something. Report any strange activity to your local Galactic Alliance outpost immediately. And if you want to be extra prepared, sign up for our Alien Defense Training Program. Learn how to use a laser blaster, navigate through space, and communicate with alien species. Who knows? You might even make some new alien friends along the way. So remember, stay vigilant, stay prepared, and together we can keep our galaxy safe. A public service announcement from the Galactic Alliance.
This is Liam Martin with the Exile Minds podcast, and you're listening to the network that never stops seeking Trouble Minds Radio, KUAP, digital broadcasting. Hello, welcome to the show, folks. Exile Minds podcast. With me, your incredibly famous host, Liam Martin. Exile Minds podcast number 53, I think it is today. Episode number 53. And today, what we're going to do today, you may well ask, what I'm about to tell you, if you hold your horses. Today, on the Exile Minds podcast, we're going to cover, we're going to give a bit of a shout-out show to guy's passed away now, but he was a diligent researcher into pre-humans, and his name is Lloyd Pye. Was most famously, notable for being associated with what's known as the Starchild or the Starchild Skull. It's an unusual skull, so that's what we're gonna look at, see what the business is with this today. So today's episode, the Starchild and Lloyd Pye. So join us. This captivating radio episode and podcast episode as we delve into the mystery that is the Starchild Skull and the encounters with extraterrestrial beings, maybe, but we're going to talk about that. In this episode, we'll unravel the baffling anomalies surrounding this Starchild Skull. And it's a controversial artifact. It's believed by some to challenge conventional theories of human origins. So we'll explore this strange characteristics of this skull, from its unconventional composition, its curious fibrous material inside, and the fact it resembles kind of tooth enamel in a way. So this has sparked speculation about its possible extraterrestrial connections. Our discussion on this episode will navigate through the contested realm of alternative theories, examining the claims made by proponents like Lloyd Pye specifically, who suggested that the skull might harbor secrets about humanity's ancient past, as so many others have. Additionally, we're going to venture into the accounts of Dr. Charles Hall, who claimed to have been interacting with tall whites, which comes in later. So we'll explore some of these narratives and these alleged encounters, scrutinize the details, with see if the implications and these claims have a broader context in the UFO phenomenon and other quote-unquote conspiracy theories. But let's just make a note there and say that it was an alphabet agency that invented the CIA, coined that term, conspiracy theory, just so you know, to cover up people who didn't follow the official narrative of the JFK assassination. So just bear that in mind, folks. Conspiracy theory is a smear term. And anyway, like I've said before, planning a surprise birthday party is a conspiracy theory unless somebody gets surprised on the birthday. So anyway, going on. Throughout this episode, we'll seek to unravel the scientific debate, skepticism, and challenges facing and verifying these extraordinary claims. So join us as we navigate through the enigmatic landscape of the Starchild Skull and the purported extraterrestrial encounters, inviting listeners to ponder the boundaries between fact and speculation in our quest to understand the mysteries beyond the world, or beyond what the newspaper prints. Okay, so starting straight away then. So let's who's Lloyd Pye, you may well ask. Well, Lloyd Pye, they said Lord Pye there. Lloyd Pye is an interesting figure in the realm of alternative theories about human origins. He gained attention for his work on the Starchild Skull, which has been a curious specimen believed by some to be evidence of an extraterrestrial contact or a new human species. So that's basically the thing. This thing's weird when you get to see it, and we'll get through some of the things that's strange about it. It's definitely not human. So is it a different species we don't know about, or is it, some kind of hybrid or what? Pye proposed unconventional theories about human evolution in his work with hominids anyway. And he suggested that the Starchild Skull might be of extraterrestrial origin, or possibly representing a hybrid between human and extraterrestrial beings. However, his conclusions are highly controversial within the scientific community, which is why we're going to cover it, because we don't have to worry about careers and stuff. So we're just going to do it. We're just going to see where the information takes us. Let's move this mic away a bit. Yeah, see where the information takes us and see what's what. So we don't have to worry about grant money and stuff. And like I've previously mentioned, his research into pre-hominids and his involvement with the Starchild Skull sparked debates and intrigued many who were interested in exploring the alternative perspectives on human history and evolution. The Lloyd Pye didn't have technically any formal qualifications in anthropology or any related scientific fields. His background was in business management and writing, which he leveraged to delve into the alternative theories regarding human origins. Okay, so let's read from his bio and see what the deal is then. So I think I forgot to just get the page up. There we go. So there we are. Lloyd Pye. Wrong one. Discord. Oh. No, it don't seem to be there. There we go. Is that the one? There we go. Lloyd Pye's on the wrong page, that's all. Okay, so let's check this out then. Just get it on the screen. Let's wait for that to load up. Yeah, so this is from his official website. This is from www.lloydpye.com. And this is in his bio section. So I'll read his autobiography. So Lloyd Pye was born in 1946 and died in 2013. Was born in Houma, Louisiana, to Nina Pye, a dedicated mother and tireless charity worker, and Dr. Lloyd Sr., who was his father was an optometrist, dealing with eyes, and he served historically in World War II as one of Merrill's marauders before returning to Louisiana to directly challenge the KKK by threatening all races equality with his optometry practices by treating. Yeah, his dad was an optometrist and he treated anybody of any race, which, you know, is standing up to the KKK sort of thing. So Lloyd grew up in a place called Amite, Louisiana, where he played for the Amite High School in 1963, the state championship winning football team. He went on to win the football scholarship and Tulane University, where he became a nationally ranked punter, a person who kicks the ball down the field, and graduated with a BS in psychology. So he's got psychological qualifications. That's a Bachelor of Science in psychology there. He got that in 1968. He voluntarily enlisted during the Vietnam War and was recruited by military intelligence. However, he was stationed stateside throughout his service. He went on to become a Hollywood scriptwriter and author, publishing several fiction books. Several fiction books before he wrote his best-known text, which is in 1997, which was a non-fiction opus. It was a book he wrote. It's like his sort of his life's work. It's called Everything You Know Is Wrong. Following the success of Everything You Know Is Wrong, he was recruited to lead an investigation into the Starchild Skull, an unusual skull that, I'll zoom in a bit, you can see it, read it for yourself. So following the success of Everything You Know Is Wrong, he was recruited to lead an investigation into the Starchild Skull, an unusual skull that some believe may contain alien DNA. Despite dedicating 14 years of his life to the investigation, he felt he was never able to get the full story about the skull. Several DNA tests found human DNA, but did not recover all DNA in the sample. Due to the technological and monetary restrictions, no full genome study of the skull has ever been commissioned, which has frustratingly left skeptics able to claim it is human, and for believers to be able to claim that its unrecovered DNA might be alien. So this is the problem with this stuff. It costs money. It costs a lot of money to get DNA testing done. And unless in a very rare circumstances someone believes in your work and prepared to do it for free, chances are you're not going to get it done. And in addition to that, if you do get DNA testing done, people can always say, no, it must have been contaminated. Do it again. And then if you do it a second time, they can say, do it again. Until you just got no money left, sort of thing. So that's kind of how it works a bit. So, moving on with the bio. In 2013, Lloyd was diagnosed with an aggressive B-cell lymphoma cancer. Many of his supporters generously donated to his medical treatment, allowing him to have the best care available. His illness was very advanced when it was discovered, and despite battling it with both modern medicine and traditional alternative treatments, he passed away on the 9th of December 2013. So his sort of memorial anniversary is coming up soon. In 2014, however, the Lloyd Pye Fund for Alternative Researchers was established in Lloyd's honour. The fund grants one-time payments to deserving researchers so that can continue to develop their work in their chosen alternative field. Lloyd often spoken of the invisible college of researchers and investigators that quietly gaining their unofficial PhDs in alternative knowledge. All of the subjects that the mainstream generally refuses to take seriously, examples are such as aliens, Bigfoot, alternative medicine, and the electric universe, etc. Since Lloyd's sad passing, his family have been working to complete and publish Lloyd's unfinished and unpublished works. The most significant of these to date is the publication of Everything You Know Is Still Wrong, a completely updated version of the aforementioned Pye book from 1997. So they've got a revised edition of Everything You Know Is Wrong, or Everything You Know Is Still Wrong. And his books, we'll just quickly check the book section. So what's it say? Everything You Know Is Still Wrong is Pye at his best, filled with the see it with your own eyes evidence ranging from the moment that the Earth came into existence to recent discoveries in our own DNA, this book will make you question many of the fundamental theories that are often mistaken for proven fact. Okay, and that's the thing. That's an important point to mention, actually. There's such a thing as a factoid. And for those that have never heard of a factoid, I think it comes in here that you can have an assumption or a theory about something. And if people labeled as experts or leaders in a field keep repeating it over and over again, then people start assuming it's just a fact. But a factoid is something that's either a theory or incorrect a misinterpretation of information that gets repeated over and over again. So people accept it as a standard premise when it's not actually correct. So like the only one I can think of off the top of my head is that we say that people in the medieval era thought that the earth was flat, but that's not true. That's not really true. I don't really know where that comes from, because there's a lot of examples of people knowing that it wasn't. In fact, the ancient pyramids have got, and lots of other kind of megaliths have got the circumference of the earth kind of embedded in the geometry, like encoded in there for a spherical planet. So I don't know. Maybe it is flat, but this notion that a few centuries ago people thought it was flat is just not necessarily the case, sort of thing. But it's one of the things that got repeated a lot. So I thought of another one. There's a notion that, as a factoid, there's a notion that we'd all have smallpox if it weren't for the invention of vaccines. But that's not the case. If you check your history, there was a moment in history called the Great Sanitary Revolution, where the school of thought was in the sort of 1800s, in the 18th century, in the sort of 1700s, in 1700s, people were thinking either stuff getting into your body that's toxic is what makes you ill, or some invisible attacker, maybe this very attack somehow makes you ill. And that was virus theory, German virus theory, and one was toxicity. But toxicity panned out. The other one's still theoretical German virus theory, still called theory. And it's very complicated. So one school of thought panned out and the other didn't. So improved sanitary practices got rid of a lot of bacteria and toxic environment, started sterilizing and cleaning the environment, rather than dealing with the dead and then going and delivering a baby and wondering why there's an infection. People started washing their hands. A great sanitary revolution, and increased sanitary practices and spreading that practice of sterilizing things almost completely eradicated smallpox before the first vaccine was invented. But somebody along the line is going, oh, it's vaccines that did that. Probably I don't know. It's probably the vaccine manufacturers made that claim over and over again, because then they take the credit, don't they? But that's another example of a factoid. This for those that's not heard of the concept. So yes, jumping back onto Lloyd Pye. So yes, he's got some books. Everything You Know Is Wrong. Like say the 1997 Everything You Know Is Wrong delved into the controversial evidence of alien intervention on Earth, which we'll get to, explaining what that is. And his hard-hitting combination of scientific facts and easy-to-understand explanations made the book an instant classic. And now, 20 years later, the book has been fully updated and revised to include brand new archaeological and scientific evidence that was not available when the original book was published. So it's all updated. Those familiar with the original will be astounded by the number of predictions and theories Lloyd posed in the original that have now been proven by science and are discussed in the new version. Although Lloyd Pye passed away in 2013, Everything You Still Know Is Wrong has been based on the drafts and revisions that he was working on before his illness, updated with the very latest discoveries. If you have ever wondered if we are alone in the universe, this book offers a definitive answer that even the most adamant skeptic will struggle to ignore. With over 600 pages and 150 black and white images and a weight of well-researched evidence connecting the dots, this is a must-read of the year for anyone interested in alternative knowledge, aliens, megaliths, hominids, including Bigfoot, Yetis and such, and mainstream cover-ups that try to hide the truth from us all. And you can preview this book on Amazon, or you go to all your regular places, you'll get it. So yes, so that's what they do, and they're trying to help researchers. In fact, I mentioned that they've revised the book. They've got a research grant for alternative researchers. It's a one-time payment. It says here, what is it? The grant what they do in this Lloyd Pye fund for alternative research, and try and help people out that was doing similar kind of research to Lloyd. So in, like say, in 2014, to honor what would have been Lloyd's 68th birthday, his family established the Lloyd Pye Fund for Alternative Researchers. The fund uses profits from Lloyd's books and ebooks, as well as donations from the public, to provide a small one-time payment to selected alternative researchers to allow them to progress their research. And I say he's often spoken of his desires to help others like himself who walked in the garden of alternative knowledge and who need support to continue their work. Alternative knowledge is a broad term that describes many disciplines and studies that fall outside of the mainstream science and academia, and include the areas that Lloyd's own research into alien intervention and hominids. So in this fund, they offer you a one-time payment, $1,250 to progress a specific research project or to assist with other alternative knowledge related works. The application can be to work for alternative knowledge field, include but not limited to hominids, Bigfoot, alien intervention, megaliths, alternative medicines, morphic fields, the electric universe, ancient and forgotten knowledge. And applicants are more likely to be successful if they have a clear specific use for the money, a goal or objective, and if they've already begun work on their chosen field. So that makes sense. If they're not going to give the grant to anyone, and if you need to say what the money is going to be for and exactly how you're going to apply it, really. The same with all funding. But I think it's pretty cool that you've got alternative people doing that, and they're giving the profits from his books away and any donations to help other people. So that's pretty nifty, I think. It's definitely worth a shout out. But anyway, moving on. So Lloyd Pye. What do we know about this guy? We've done the quick bio. So I mentioned that he's an interesting figure and got involved with the Starchild Skull. But we need to also, I think it's important, we need to highlight his research a little bit. So let's do the quick. I've got a bit of a script here ready, so we'll have a look, see what he's on with. Right, okay, so his research. Let's go for. So Pye proposed unconventional theories about human evolution, challenged Darwinism a little bit, and suggested that the Starchild Skull might be extraterrestrial or possibly representing a hybrid between extraterrestrials and humans. However, his conclusions were highly controversial in the scientific community. He also had his work on pre-hominids, and his involvement with the Starchild Skull both sparked debates and intrigued many who were interested in exploring alternative perspectives on human history and evolution. Now, Lloyd Pye didn't have any formal qualifications, as I mentioned, in anthropology. He had a BA in psychology. He knew how to research. Okay, he knew how to research, and he was a writer. He was a successful writer, so he uses that as an opportunity to, be able to study the things he kind of wants to study. So that goes along, and like I mentioned in his book, is add unconventional ideas about human evolution. But Pye was particularly interested in the origins of humanity. Oh, here's Marie in the chat. Hi, Marie. Good morning. I'm going to say good day. Take that. See how cultured I am? I spoke Australian. Okay, right, it's wrestling with what I like to do. Okay, so let's have a look at what some of his things was. So in his book, Everything You Know Is Wrong, it was quite proactive and challenging the mainstream scientific theories about human origins and evolution. So here are some of the key ideas and themes. I'll just go through these. Break's going to be sneaking up on us soon, so we'll just go from the key ideas from his book. So to start with, I'll just get that picture up in the background. We'll get some of these ancient astronauts pictures behind me there, because that's the bit we're going to do first. So ancient astronauts, here's one of the guys that's talking about this in the beginning. So the ancient astronaut theory. Pye explored the possibility that ancient civilizations might have had contact with extraterrestrial beings or received help from them. He suggested that advanced technology or knowledge might have been passed down to humans from these extraterrestrial visitors. He's also got what's known as the intervention theory. So he proposed that human evolution might not have followed a purely natural course. And Pye speculated that genetic manipulation or intervention by advanced beings could have influenced the development of early humans, potentially altering our genetic makeup. Also, there were many human anomalies. Pye discussed various anomalies in the human history and biology, such as the Starchild Skull, and he believed that these anomalies didn't fit into the conventional evolutionary explanations. He argued that these anomalies could be evidence of alternative paths in human evolution, or even the presence of extraterrestrial DNA. He also had critiques of Darwin's evolution. While not dismissing evolution outright, Pye criticized certain aspects of Darwinian evolution. He suggested that it might not fully explain the complexities of human origins and that there could be gaps in our understanding that alternative theories might fill. Pye's book aimed to challenge established scientific paradigms about human evolution and provoke readers to consider alternative explanations for our origins. Here comes the disclaimer. However, it's important to note that his ideas were considered controversial and lack substantial empirical scientific evidence to support them. That's open to debate, I would say. But that's the official status quo stance. Many of the scientific community viewed his work as speculative and not in line with the rigors of scientific inquiry. But then that's the kind of thing that they often say. Spooky ancient astronauts. Yes, there are some spooky ones. We'll have a look at some of them. In fact, I've got to take a break soon. So what comes next? Okay, so he's challenging Darwin. Darwin's had numerous critics, which we'll get into after the break. So before we do that, then I'll just grab another track. What shall we go for? Little 4-minute mix. I'm not sure what's on it, but I'll just load it up and we'll see how it goes. Yeah, so just Examines podcasts with me, Lee and Martin, talking about Lloyd Pye and the Starchild Skull. We're streaming on, hopefully, live on Rumble, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. And yeah, you can be found on Spotify as well and all your regular podcasting platforms. So just bear with us for a moment while we go for this break, and I'll be back in just a sec.
I'm a mom, half man, half dog. I'm my own best friend.
In less than a minute, Lone Star will be ours. Prepare to attack. What happened? Where are they? I don't know, sir. They must have hypersets on that thing. We'll find them. Yes, sir. Prepare ship for light speed. No, light speed is too slow. We're gonna have to go right to ludicrous speed. Ludicrous speed? Sir, we've never gone that fast before. I don't know if the ship can take it. What's the matter, Colonel Sanders? Chicken? Prepare ship! Prepare ship for ludicrous speed!
What the hell was that? Spaceball 1. They've gone to plaid.
Now hear this! Now hear this!
Why don't we take a 5-minute break?
Smoke if you got 'em.
Take her out of hyperactive.
Taking her out of hyperactive. They must overshot us by a week and a half.
Give me that, you petty excuse for an officer.
Now hear this!
Sir, hadn't you better buckle up?
Now buckle this! Now hear this!
What the hell am I looking at?
Now hear
When
this!
does this happen in the movie?
Now. You're looking at now, sir. Everything that happens now is happening now.
What happened to then?
That's it.
When?
Just now. We're at now.
Go back to then.
When?
Now.
Now?
Now.
I can't.
Why?
We missed it.
When?
Just now.
When will then be now?
Soon.
Prepare to move out?
What are you preparing? You're always preparing. Just go.
Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Weapons officer. Prepare to fire on my command.
He's the weapons officer. You think he'd already be prepared? Indeed.
Probably prepared to return fire. For the record, I'm always prepared. I just have to press this button here.
Welcome to the Troubled Minds Radio Network on KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where we delve into the mystical, the philosophical, and the cosmic in our quest to uncover the unknown.
In the realm of podcasts dedicated to the mysterious and the unexplained, Salcedo Paranormal stands out as a beacon of warmth and curiosity. This podcast delves into the world of the paranormal with a focus on ghostly encounters and a commitment to exploring the light aspects of the enigmatic subject matter. With James Salcedo at the helm, his unique perspective adds a layer of authenticity and intrigue to the show, making it an inviting space for both skeptics and believers. Listeners will find themselves immersed in stories of friendly ghostly apparitions, mischievous spirits, and heartwarming encounters that challenge stereotypes associated with the supernatural. In addition to sharing ghostly anecdotes, Salcedo Paranormal offers literary dimension, hosting insightful reviews of books and the works of spooky writers. Tune in live, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on Discord. Follow the podcast stream on Podbean, where you'll find there's a huge archive of past shows from James, who can also be heard on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP, Digital Broadcasting. And there's more. Along with this, there are bonus shows on the Patreon for subscribers, where you can also make a one-time donation to our friend James of Salcedo Paranormal. You and I know there's no better show. The best thing to do is to go home, listen to Salcedo Paranormal like it's normal and it makes sense, bro. And take notes. He's the only expert we know. Yo. Going time of the music. And welcome back to the show, Exominds Podcast. Today, the show on Lloyd Pye and the Starchild Skull, which I haven't quite got into yet. But yes, Lloyd Pye, diligent researcher, got a degree in psychology, but he was a writer, and so he went on to, start looking at some of the pre-humans and trying to explain human origins, because this is the thing about with the human origins thing, and this is what other critics are kind of getting to, which we'll have a look see what people say. But yeah, the criticism with Charles Darwin's stuff is that, okay, on his deathbed, he was supposedly have said, the theory is not complete, it's not whole. And there was a man in Java that wrote to Charles Darwin and came up with the same idea. And so Darwin had been working on this for like nearly 10 years, about a decade. So they invited this guy over, but they got him to speak in the afternoon where Darwin speaks in the morning. And back in those days, people were drinking a lot of gin. So the deal was Darwin will speak, then they have an interval, everyone has some lunch and some gin, and then they bring the foreigner in. So people aren't really going to remember that guy. So Darwin ended up getting like the credit for it. But Charles Darwin's theory of evolution, it works on the micro scale, and a lot of it does work and it pans out. But when it comes to humans, it don't work for us. And this is the problem with it. And that's why you hear this term, they're looking for the missing link, a transition, a transitional being that's coming up to Homo sapiens sapien, because we've had a big jump out of nowhere overnight sort of thing. And so they keep saying, there's a missing link out there somewhere. We never found it. And I think it's because there isn't one. And the science kind of desperately needs to keep saying, we just haven't found it yet, because it destroys the theory. Because the noodles bit of your brain, you've got the brain stem, or otherwise known as the reptilian brain, your autonomic function stuff, right on your brain stem, right on the top of your spine. And then you've got all that noodly bits on top. Well, that's called the neocortex. And the human neocortex, you can't be accounted for in Charles Darwin's evolution model. it blows it out of the water. So it's interesting that it's the human brain, the neocortex, that came up with the theory, but the existence of the human brain is the theory's biggest critic. So the idea works, but it's called the origins of man, and it don't work for man. Which, this is why this is sort of controversial. But like I say, he challenged Charles Darwin, and as other people have, we looked at in this book everything is wrong. Some of the basic premises. So just to recap, the ancient astronaut theory, the intervention theory, maybe ETs and such have perhaps somehow influenced us in some way, either by manipulating genetics or culturally or with technology. And he's had his critique of Darwin's evolution. I'll read it again and then we'll flow on. So while not dismissing evolution outright, Pye criticised certain aspects of Darwinian evolution. He suggested that it might not fully explain the complexities of human origins and that there could be gaps in our understanding, and alternative theories might fill those gaps in. And I'm on that train as well. That's what I think, because they don't quite work for the human neocortex. In fact, anthropologists have called the human neocortex the most astounding reorganization of a major organ in the entire fossil record. Only time we've had such a massive change of a major organ, and that's why it stands out like a sore thumb. And that's the same species, aka us, Homo sapiens sapien, that happens to ended up top of the food chain and been the most adaptive and done the most. So it's like, we got conscience, we got the ability to think about stuff and have desires, and animals aren't really thinking that side out of the box. They're like, so far the evolution model's been, you're just you eat to survive and then you reproduce. It's just like survive and reproduce kind of thing. But we're able to think, where do we come from? We've got that kind of unique way to do that. Whereas the rest of the animals are just surviving and working on instinct, aren't they, to just reproduce. Okay. And moving on, so Pye's book aimed to challenge these scientific paradigms about human evolution and provoke readers to consider alternative explanations for our origins. Again, then we get a disclaimer. It's important to note that, it lacked substantial empirical evidence. But then so does the missing link idea, because we haven't found one. So that don't pan out yet. And like I mentioned earlier with the great sanitary revelation, German virus theory is a lot of theory in there. And science does often, it's known for parading theories as fact. You open up a textbook about the Earth, just geology and stuff, and at some point you'll see a big picture of the Earth cut in half, and they'll show you a little bit of land crust, then all lava, and then the Earth's core. But it's not like that. We know there's massive caverns all over the place, so it don't really look like that. There's an example. But Darwin, did he have any more critics? I thought, look to see, so we're not just sticking to one. Oh, it's just what Lloyd said. But any other critics of the theory? I've mentioned a few bits. Pat Breeze in the chat, the missing link. Missing link was a wrestler in the 80s. Oh man, don't take me back. Do you know what, Pat? I've been watching Ulysses, that cartoon from the 80s. Ulysses of the 31st century. It's badass. Learn all about the Greek gods and how horrible they were. Which I suspect that they were aliens myself. And it was talked about that. The remote viewed Zeus. And it was not nice. He was a real dude, man, but it was not nice. It was not good at all. And I'm hoping to, even though I've tried to plan it 3 times and we haven't had Farsight on yet, Dr. Courtney Brown, I'm going to still try and free screw-ups, but it might give me another chance. So it might only be 2 screw-ups, actually. 3rd time lucky. So I had a sound card blow up, then leaking roof. I think we've only cancelled him twice. But it's not very professional, is it? And then I was ready another time, but I wasn't sure. I thought, I didn't want to email him in advance. I thought, is it going to work or not? And then I didn't remind him. And then he wasn't there. I was like, I should have said, But that's the way these things go. You have to follow these things up, remind people. Otherwise, they just go on with their life, don't they? I'm asking them for a favor. They didn't contact me. You know what I mean? But yes, nice to see you anyway, Pat. Nice to see you. My crystal Buddha. My little crystal Buddha over there. I comment, hey, Pat, check this out. Pat, Eriko, James, if you're there. Daryl, if you're lurking in the background. Marie, I got me passport, look. It's my official slapper. You can just bash them out of the way with this British, mate. British passport. And they've changed the colour. It used to be burgundy. Now it's like diplomatic dark blue that looks black. You know what I'm saying? If I wear a suit and put a little one of them curly earpieces in my ear, they'll think I'm some diplomatic security. I better just walk in. You know what I'm saying? I might try it. But if it don't work, then 12-hour flight in a suit. Don't know about that. Anywho, digressing. No, it's not the Necronomicon. Oh, I had to practically do all the rituals in the Necronomicon to get the damn thing, to be honest. Oh, man, the hoops to make you jump through. Hey, let's talk about this. The British passport, to get a British passport, to check your ID, you can't just look at your face. No, you can't give your police verified ID to them. No, you can't go to an office and say, is that me? No, you have to get a member of the public to verify you're really that person. And I'm like, but you've got every single piece of data on me. You've got more data than me. Oh, come, look at me. But no, you can't do that. They've got a little monopoly system where a little social credit score thing where you need to know certain professionals, but only in certain fields. And then they have to sign off that you're not just a lying scoundrel kind of thing. It's so hard to get verified for your passport here. It's ridiculous. If you haven't got the right friends, but luckily I had one right friend that was enough. So we got it. So I'm going to have a little move, a little holiday, and then look at seeing about moving to America. And then I'll be on the right time zone. But anyway, back to dumping on Darwin. Are there any other critics then? So we've got what Lloyd Pye was saying. Red tape. That's right, James. Too much red tape. That's all right, James. You don't worry about it. You're good. I know there. That's enough. You just listen, buddy. And now I'll tell you about Charles Darwin. So Charles Darwin, I've got a bit of mention. I mean, he's working really hard. He was a pioneer, you know, and I've heard rumors on his deathbed. He was like, yeah, you know, it's not really a complete model, but people have, just because somebody makes something and does good work with it, and then someone else, when then you pass away, somebody else twists it up. You can't really blame Darwin for that, can you? But I thought I'd check to see if any other people are criticising Darwin, and I asked the AI on this one, and just to get a quick answer, and it said, yeah. It said, yep, absolutely. There are numerous critics and alternative theories that have challenged certain aspects of Darwin's model, which is what Pye was doing. He wasn't saying it's all off, saying there's bits missing, and alternative theories was going to fill in the gaps. So certain aspects of Darwin as a model have been challenged, certain aspects of Darwin's evolution. So while Charles Darwin's theory of evolution through natural selection remains a fundamental concept in biology, various scientists and thinkers have proposed alternative or contemporary ideas to offer up as an alternative. So some of these criticisms and alternative theories include neo-Lamarckism. So Lamarck, so it's named after the guy Lamarck. So neo-Lamarckism, as Lamarck proposed, the inheritance of acquired characteristics suggested that organisms could pass on traits acquired during their lifetime to their offspring. While this idea was largely discredited, some modern variations of Lamarckism have emerged, suggesting that certain acquired traits might have some hereditary influence. So that's where we're talking about epigenetics. Was this idea that there can be skills or characteristics that's coming off from your ancestors that are still within your genetics, because whether you might have heard this before, but the mitochondrial DNA of your mother always passes over all the way through, right? So that means that there's, you know, it just keeps going over and over. So there's, you know, almost some original mothers back there, sort of thing. It's a bit mind bending, but yeah, the DNA keeps going, keeps carrying on each generation, and it's the male genetics is, you know, add the two together. But then when that one falls off and the mother one remains, just the mitochondrial DNA part carries on. So we definitely know that happens. And like I say, there's the study of epigenetics, We might carry some traits, and that applies in mental health as well. And sometimes, if you've got this condition, your parents had these certain conditions, you're more likely to get it. Hereditary heart disease, hereditary mental health problems, hereditary this, hereditary that. Or you've had ADHD in the family, one of them, isn't it? So it's either real or it ain't. Make your mind up, science. So yes, so that's one alternative to Darwin. Neo-Lamarckism. There's another one as well. Is known as the punctuated equilibrium. The punctuated equilibrium was proposed by Stephen Jay Gould, and Niles Eldridge. The theory of punctuated equilibrium challenges the gradualization that's often associated with Darwin, saying it's just a constant curve, takes ages, gradually. So they're challenging the gradualization, meaning there'll be sudden boosts, sudden evolutionary jumps. So the theory challenges gradualism, often associated with Darwinian evolution. Punctuated equilibrium suggests that evolutionary changes occur in bursts or rapid change, followed by long periods of stability, rather than a continuous gradual process. That kind of makes sense. Even in terms of if there's a big environmental change, it's going to be a rapid change, isn't there, that you're going to have to adapt to. Or if a technology comes into play that's, really changes things like mechanizing stuff, that suddenly gives you a boost, a jump in the amount of food you can make, or the amount of war you can do once you mechanize things. So that is going to be a sudden change. There's another, to challenge Charles Darwin's theory of evolution, another model is an extended evolutionary synthesis, or EES. Some scientists advocate for an expanded framework of evolutionary theory that incorporates factors like epigenetics, aforementioned, which was, the punctuated equilibrium. Yeah. So, some theories incorporates factors like epigenetics, developmental biology, symbiosis. Oh, is that as well? Yeah. How you interact with the animals in your environment and stuff might change the way that you are. Okay. And symbiosis and more complex mechanisms beyond natural selection. Yeah, because natural selection don't really quite do it for us. Like I say, the human neocortex you can't account for that. So there's something else going on. And if it's just a constant gradual thing and everything just develops and it just has to, then where are all the chimpanzees building windmills? Because they can only really imitate. So they should have caught up with us at some point, I would say, by now. Because if it's took us, why aren't they evolved with us in terms of developing? What I'm saying? What's the difference between us and the other apes? Because there's clearly a difference. So why aren't they evolving the same if the Darwin thing works? It should apply to everything. That's why I often find it a bit incomplete. And so, so we've got extended evolutionary synthesis, which once expanded models, including things like epigenetics, developmental biology, symbiosis, and more complex mechanisms beyond natural selection. The EES aims to contemplate classical Darwin model. So it takes the classical Darwinian model with a broader understanding of evolutionary processes, such as, is an evolutionary process that we used to say is survival of the fittest. But that's not the case. Evolutionary books don't really talk about that anymore. They talk about the symbiosis a lot more, because it makes more sense for nature to keep it. When we war with each other, we're wasting resources. So nature it prefers to have symbiotic relationships. It makes more sense. Like if you plant corn, it's called the three sisters for farming. If you plant sweet corn and then plant beans, like runner beans, and peas in between your sweet corn, then they don't interfere with each other. Because some plants are interfere with each other and they're getting each other's way. So they're competing. But you can have symbiotic arrangements where you can say, hey, if I put my peas and beans in between my sweet corn, then when the sweet corn, that grows faster. It's quite a rapid grower and it gets tall and strong and nice. There's a perfect trellis to trellis your peas up. So your peas and your beans, as long as you probably have to help them a bit when they're small. But once they start growing up the sweet corn, they'll just grow right in between the gaps. So now you're covered there. Now no weeds are going to grow there because you've got sort of stuff in the way. So you're not going to get so much weeds. And it's okay because they can root down your peas and beans. If you plant them a bit deep, But then your sweet corn's only on the surface for its roots. They don't really go that deep. But peas and beans aren't that major compared to sweet corn, so they don't interfere with each other. You could put carrots and onions next to each other, and the smell of the onions gets rid of the carrot pests, and the smell of the carrots gets rid of the onion pests. So you can make these things work together in symbiosis, and they thrive. And nature prefers to do that, so it's not wasting resources. You don't want to be fighting each other. So yeah, these models do sort of pan out. So it's not all about the Darwin model. Is definitely not complete, as far as I can say. And also, some people argue intelligent design. And the idea proposes that certain features of living organisms are best explained in an intelligent cause rather than a purely natural process. Proponents argue that some biological structures are too complex to have evolved through random mutation and natural selection alone. And I think that's where we get the idea of, to get a human being, it's like disassembling an airplane and throwing all the parts in the air and expecting them to all drop in place. You know. But it's more. It's more competing models to Darwinian evolution. So there's one called saltationism. So saltationism, this theory suggests that evolutionary changes occur through sudden and large mutations. And about the sudden thing again, it was mentioned in one of the other models, sudden jumps rather than a gradual curve, gradual sort of upward evolution. So saltationism, this theory suggests that evolutionary changes occur through sudden and large mutations rather than through gradual accumulation of small changes as proposed by Darwinian evolution. Critics of Darwinian evolution often highlight aspects where they believe the theory may fall short, or areas where alternative explanations might provide additional insights. These alternative ideas contribute to ongoing debates and discussions within the scientific community, continually shaping and refining our understanding of evolution. However, it's important to note while these criticisms exist, the overwhelming majority of the scientific community accepts the core principles of Darwinian evolution as supported by the substantial evidence. Yeah, the core principles, but that means there's room for improvement, you know. And while they say this, again, I just want to remind the listeners and the viewers to just remember that science also falls victim to dogmatic stances. And as I previously mentioned in earlier episodes, there are some topics that, despite substantial evidence that they're asking for, despite substantial evidence, the scientific community just can't accept certain conclusions. For example, I've got two examples for you. Dr. Robert Schoch dated, they tasked him in as a geologist to go and date the Sphinx famously, and he looked at water erosion marks and he was like, hey, there needed to have been rain here, there needed to be a flood or something. So that's 14,000 years ago, at least. And he's trying to be conservative. And people were like, they just really didn't want to hear that at first. But the water erosion's there, you can just see it. So, but it took them a while for even that basic one to get noticed, and that's with normal accepted sciences, geology. Okay, but then there's another example of like something a bit more out there. You might think of a fringe topic that's a thing. Is in there's been mountains of random number generator experiments with psi studies, and some experiments have yielded odds against chance that are just gargantuan. And in any other field of study, it will be, if it was anything else, they just accept it automatically. And on that one, there's a quote. This is because statistically, so what statistics is? Statistics is a mathematical principle that lets us analyze experimental data, and the American Statistical Association has the largest collection of statisticians, right? In 2016, the then president, Jessica Utz, at the American Statistical Association's AGM, at their annual meeting, she addresses over 6,000 of them from 62 countries. In this, she revealed that she took part in a government-funded intelligence project during the Cold War. During this address, she said, quote, "At the end of the project, I made a report to the American Congress stating that I think is still true today. The data in support of precognition and the possibility of other related phenomenon is quite strong statistically and would be widely accepted if it pertained to something more mundane. So she's saying it there herself, that there are some things they just don't want to accept. It's not mundane enough. If it's too groundbreaking, then sometimes they don't want it. You know. But anyway, let's show the guy, the man, the mystery. So we had a look at his website, and what I'm going to do next. Oh, I'm going to have a break soon. Right, what I'm going to do next, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to mention Paul Hellyer, because I'm going to show you a little bit of a video of Lloyd Pye speaking and get a look at the guy, see what he sounds like. And because it's Starchild, I'm saving the details to lure you in. But yeah, because it's sort of associated with ETs, I thought it was interesting, and we're talking genetics. I know there was some bit where at some point in time people had talked about how, I remember Paul Hellyer, who was a top military guy for Canada when he retired, was saying, yeah, ETs are totally a real thing. And he was talking about tall whites. And there's a few people talked about them, linked to some of the aliens. Okay. And I really mentioned him is because like he's another official that was like saying, yeah, it's a thing before the disclosure efforts are happening now that are meeting UFOs. And I mentioned that because this Starchild Skull is, thought to perhaps have some sort of alien genetics. But yeah, the stuff to do is, I just remembered that the Canada National Press had said something like ETs, they've got like, someone was claiming proof ETs have manipulated our DNA, and it's coming from some Professor Sam Chang. But I looked him up and I couldn't find what he's associated to. If you're a professor, normally you're gonna have like, you're gonna be associated with a university, aren't you? You're gonna have papers that you've written. You're gonna be easy to find. So I had a look into that claim that we've got scientific evidence from the Human Genome Project that our genes have been manipulated. But honestly, I had a good look and I couldn't find it. I got the chatbot thing on it. I can't find anything definitive, although that's only going to look at the main sort of mainstream places. So I don't know if we've got definitive proof, but there's some weird stuff about DNA, and we had that so-called junk DNA that they're going to work out what that does, non-coding DNA. So there is something to a lot of this stuff, I would say. So that's why I cover it. I think you should check it out. But in the meantime, I've got to play another little bit of a track. We've got a break coming up. I'll catch you in a moment on Exo Minds podcast. Me, Liam Martin.
I'm a moth. Half man, half God. I'm my own best friend.
In less than a minute, Lone Star will be ours. Prepare to attack. What happened? Where are they? I don't know, sir. They must have hypersense on that thing. We'll find them. Yes, sir. Prepare ship for light speed. Our light speed is too slow. We're going to have to go right to ludicrous speed. Ludicrous speed? Sir, we've never gone that fast before. I don't know if the ship can take it. What's the matter, Colonel Sanders? Chicken? Prepare ship! Prepare ship! For ludicrous speed!
What the hell was that? Spaceball what? They've gone to black.
Now hear this! Now hear this!
Why don't we take a 5-minute break? Smoke if you got them. Take her out of hyperactive. Taking her out of hyperactive. They must overshot us by a week and a half.
Give me that, you petty excuse for an officer! Now hear this!
Sir, hadn't you better buckle up?
Now buckle this! Now hear this!
What the hell am I looking at?
Now hear
When
this!
does this happen in the movie?
Now. You're looking at now, sir. Everything that happens now is happening now.
What happened to then?
Past then.
When?
It's now. We're at now.
Go back to then.
When?
Now.
Now?
Now.
I can't.
Why?
We missed it.
When?
Just now.
When will then be now?
Soon. Prepare to move out?
What are you preparing? You're always preparing. Just go.
Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Weapons officer, prepare to fire on my command.
He's the weapons officer. You think he'd already be prepared? Indeed.
Probably prepared to return fire. For the record, I'm always prepared. I just have to press this button here.
Welcome to the Troubled Minds Radio Network on KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where we delve into the mystical, the philosophical, and the cosmic in our quest to uncover the unknown.
In the realm of podcasts dedicated to the mysterious and the unexplained, Salcedo Paranormal stands out as a beacon of warmth and curiosity. This podcast delves into the world of the paranormal with a focus on ghostly encounters and a commitment to exploring the lighter aspects of the enigmatic subject matter. With James Salcedo at the helm, his unique perspective adds a layer of authenticity and intrigue to the show, making it an inviting space for both skeptics and believers. Listeners will find themselves immersed in stories of friendly ghostly apparitions, mischievous spirits, and heartwarming encounters that challenge stereotypes associated with the supernatural. In addition to sharing ghostly anecdotes, Salcedo Paranormal offers literary dimension, hosting insightful reviews of books and the works of spooky writers. Tune in live, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on Discord. Follow the podcast stream on Podbean, where you'll find there's a huge archive of past shows from James, who can also be heard on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And there's more. Along with this, there are bonus shows on the Patreon for subscribers, where you can also make a one-time donation to our friend James of Salcedo Paranormal. You and I know there's no better show. Best thing to do is to go home, listen to Salcedo Paranormal like it's normal. It makes sense, bro. Take notes. He's the only expert we know. That's right, James Salcedo Paranormal, the only paranormal expert on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And you can find me, the Exit Minds Podcast, Liam Martin, on Spotify, all your main podcast platforms. And we're also streaming live on YouTube, Twitch, Rumble, and Twitter. Assuming I've figured out this Rumble thing, because sometimes it didn't, but I think I've got it. Anyway, yes, so streaming in a few places. You can find us on Spotify and KUAP Troubled Minds Radio Network. I'm going to start going on there live as well soon. So probably, to start next year at least. But I'm going to figure it out before the year's out, and then we'll start flicking over, and we can be on everywhere. Because that's about to go out of beta soon, hopefully. So, yay! All looking good. I got my passport. But anyhow, back on with the show. Okay, let me get me off the screen here. We'll have a quick look at a little bit of video, just a few minutes. I thought this section at the start. This is Lloyd Pye talking about his book, and it's got a couple of speaking tours about hominids and stuff. But in this one, 2 hours on Lloyd Pye's YouTube channel. So I advise you get over there and check it out. Got a 2-hour lecture about that book, so you can get a bit of a, like 50 pence tour sort of thing by watching this. So I thought what we'll do is I'll get rid of me. What's going on here? What's going on with this? There we go. Let's get rid of both. I don't know what's going on here. Right, let me just sort this camera thing out. There we go. Right then. So Lloyd Pye. I'll put the volume up. Make sure it's not too loud. And we'll just there's a few minutes. It is a nice little comparison about some of the pre-humans up to get to us, and how vastly different we suddenly become. So I'll just fade his volume up a bit.
Lucy is one of the first kind Australopithecus afarensis. We have Africanus, we have Robustus, we have Boise. All right, we have basically a pair of upright walking chimpanzees, upright walking gorillas. You can see that length of face, width of face, and sagittal crest, which modern gorillas have. It's a ridge of bone where their muscles attach to the tops of their heads. So from 4 million years ago to approximately 2 million years ago, we have a pair of upright walking chimps, a pair of upright walking gorillas, and that's it. Okay, now at 2 million years ago, we have a transformation. We are told it is a transition, that somehow the Australopithecines segued into the next creature, which is Homo. Homo meaning man. You will see they are indeed more man-like than are the Australopithecines, which are clearly primates, upright walking primates. So we have this changeover from Australopithecines to Homos. We're told that it is a transition. It is a transformation, as you will see with this slide. Next slide, please. Okay, here we go. Australopithecine, early Homo. Notice, if you will, this is not a transition. This would require 20 or 30 gradual changes to get in from this to this. It is an overnight change. It is just sudden. Boom. The homos are here. I don't mean that like it sounds. Okay, next slide. All right, the homos are here. Here we go. The Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo archaic, Homo neanderthal, and then Cro-Magnon, Homo sapiens, us. Notice Neanderthal man going back and through the Australopithecines don't look anything like us. Nothing. Here we sit right here. Another transition. Now remember, we had 4 million years Australopithecines, approximately 2 million years. There's some overlap in here. And then here, 120,000 years ago only, boom, here we are. Suddenly, overnight, looking nothing like anything that has come before. The bones of all of these creatures are much thicker than ours, just like Lucy's were. And in every way, the shapes are dissimilar. They do not have, it's hard to tell looking straight on, but they have no foreheads. Their foreheads go straight back off their huge brow ridges, neither of which we have. We have nice forehead here. We have no brow ridges. Huge, round, nocturnal vision eyes. So did the Australopithecines. These are primate eyes. Primates have this kind of eye. Huge, wide nasal passages indicating a big flat nose spread across the face. We've got our little uplift of bone sticking our nose off our face. We have rectangular, small, reduced eye sockets, very poor night vision. A dramatic change has occurred. The upper jaw sticks off the face. Ours squished in. Nothing like us. Next slide, please. Profiles show the degree of change is startling. Prognathous mouth, no chin. Prognathous mouth, even more so. No chin, and then suddenly flat mouth, nice chin. Look at the change through here. Australopithecine, Homo erectus, Cro-Magnon. This is as big a leap from here to here as from here to here in anatomical terms. A light year, a light year. This is not a transition. These are transformations, despite what you are told by anthropologists. Next slide, please. Now, am I making it sound my way just because the heads go that way? No, look, let's look at a whole body. This is a Homo erectus called the Lake Turkana boy. Homo erectus, Lake Turkana boy. Now, notice, if you will, this guy's about 12 years old. His molars have not erupted yet. He already stands 5'8". He's going to grow to 6'6", maybe 7 feet in adulthood. We don't know how they grew. But already at 12 years old, he is a physically robust creature. Every bone in his body at 12 years old is far more robust, thicker, stronger than any bone in Arnold Schwarzenegger's body today. True. Now, why do you, notice too, if you will, the length of his upper arm. And he has some shoulder socket here, so they had to put it in the right place. So that forced them to put the fingertip pretty near where it belongs. It belongs a little bit lower, but pretty close. Now, what are bones like this all about? What's the deal here? Why are they so robust? Your bones are a function of the torque your muscles can generate. Your bones have to be able to withstand the pressure that your muscles can generate. And if not, your muscles would break your bones. So when you're looking at bones like this, you're looking at an incredibly powerful creature. What are you looking at? You're looking at primate bones, primates of the earth. This is how the primates are built. Gorillas, chimps, right on down the line. They are incredibly strong relative to us, are the primates. 5 to 10 times pound for pound. They can come, they'll come right out of the mother's womb, reach up, hands and feet, hook onto her belly, and she walks off. And they can hang on. Anybody's had a pet monkey knows what I'm talking about. Next slide. Okay, this is a chimpanzee minus its hair due to disease, so you can see the musculature in here. And the strength of these things is amazing. Amazing. You could take a male chimp like this, not a gorilla, and put it in a room with Mike Tyson. It's a battle to the death, and they both understand that. 2 or 3 minutes, this chimp is walking out. Now, he may be missing an ear or two. But the chimp is walking out. The chimp can tear him limb from limb, literally, apart. Understand that. Primate strength is nothing at all like human strength. Next slide. Same thing for Neanderthals, our supposedly closest nearest kin until just recently. Neanderthal fingertip bone, human fingertip bone. Segment of Neanderthal thigh bone, human thigh bone. Look at the difference. Not even close. This is quarters to dimes, shovel handles to broomsticks. No comparison. Our supposed, and we used to be told, absolutely, they insisted, they swore. We came directly from those guys. Even looking at this kind of evidence, that is what they insisted. Why? Because they have to explain it in terrestrial terms. Understand that science is hamstrung. They've painted themselves into a corner. They have to explain everything in terrestrial terms. They do not allow for outside intervention, whether that outside intervention is extraterrestrial or divine.
There we go. So there we have it. So the points he was making there, just to reiterate, if you didn't sort of catch any of them or whatever. So what he was saying there was, yeah, this status quo, the scientific communities won't have it. It's got to be standard terrestrial origin. They're not explaining this. It's not a gradual curve. The pre-hominids compared to humans and the apes compared to humans, they've got 3 times the bone density. They're much stronger than us. They're not getting arthritis, swinging around all them trees all the time. They're just not. They're much stronger. They've got much denser muscle. Yeah, we're built completely different. Built completely different. They're very rugged. Like I say, and these pre-hominids, not that 12-year-old that he was explaining, early man, 12-year-old, still at 5'8". So he's going to go beyond 6 foot. It's going to be like a 7-footer. But if his bones are 3 times thicker, that's why I was saying he's going to be bigger than Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's going to be bigger than your powerlifter, Mr. Universe people. You know what I'm saying? So we got the world's strongest man. Now he's a bit of almost like a genetic freak, because he's like a powerlifter. And it's world's strongest man I've ever seen that's got a 6-pack still. Because you usually end up with a belly, just from what you have to do to do the stuff. So you don't really have the 6-pack and the big muscle mass everywhere else. Now he's a bit of a genetic freak, but even that guy, the strength alone is not enough, because his bones and the muscle itself holding your limbs on your body aren't as strong. That's why he's saying a chimpanzee, not even a gorilla, a chimpanzee could murder Mike Tyson literally in a really bad way. And he makes the joke, Tyson might bite one of his ears, little Evander Holyfield. But yeah, that's the thing. These things are tough. Yeah, we have when it comes to apes, Marie, yeah, that's it. We got no chance, and that's what the whole. If you remember the Planet of the Apes story in the movies, that's if apes ever got intelligent, but they got the opposable thumb. So if they ever got as intelligent as us, they can beat us up hand to hand. We got no chance hand to hand combat. So they could take over us. They take over the planet, and then we'll be the pets, sort of thing. Little slaves. So, you know what I'm saying? Because they're just stronger than us, so they could do. So that's why it's important that I wanted to highlight Lloyd Pye specifically, instead of just focusing on aliens and the Starchild Skull, which I will get to the details on that. But I just wanted to make sure that you understand that Lloyd Pye has really done his work, and there's already interesting things. And he's probably going to go on to say in this video that is because he mentioned Neanderthal now, they got 3 times the bones and strength, and these people had larger brains than us. He's going to say at some point in this that our cranial capacity is 1,400 cubic centimeters, but Neanderthal had 1,600. They had 200 more than us. So they're not just, and that makes sense, doesn't it? If your body's bigger and your bones are a bit bigger and you've got more muscle, your head's probably bigger in proportion, and then there's more brain space. Does that mean they're more intelligent than us? I don't know. But it's very different. And that's the point. He's only making the point of we're very different. We haven't gradually come from one thing through to another. We've made jumps and changes. You know, and there's in the Precambrian explosion, that's a point in history where the whole planet got iced over. It's like a big snowball. So as the poles got more iced over, it was reflecting more sunlight. So then they iced over faster. And so the whole planet became a massive, like Europa, big ice all over the place. But some of that ice, you know, it freezes really clear like glass. So some of the sunlight could then get through the ice and reach the ocean. It's just the surface of the ocean. But that was enough for some life. It killed most things, but some life, marine life, survived around those little lenses of light. So they managed to thrive because there's no real predators. So they had an explosion in evolution because the environmental conditions made it. There's only a few creatures that survived and they had no predators and they had plenty of food. So they just thrived, and then loads of evolutionary things came off of the back of it. So it happened fast, that. So I call it an explosion, like a restart. So things can happen quickly. And I've seen experiments where they've got some kind of bacteria or something that's lactose intolerant. And they've put them into like a lactose-only environment, like little worms or something. But these things had a mouth shape. The reason that they couldn't eat lactose is because the mouth shape was the wrong shape. So they couldn't physically eat them. But some of them survived. It didn't kill them all. And some of them like instantly sort of evolved the mouth to be a different shape so they could eat them. So all of them should have died. But, you know, some of them adapted to be able to eat lactose to survive. So, and yeah, there's other people argue environmental conditions can change the way our genes go and whatnot. So, Ale, how's it going? I'm glad you found there. Yeah, I don't know if it went out to where it was supposed to. I forgot to change the title on the Rumble one. So they think we're talking about Nikola Tesla, but we're not. Sorry about that. But anyway, nice to see you, Alec. Glad to make it. Try and stay on schedule. Now I've figured out how to stream to multiple platforms, so we should have it locked in soon. Welcome. So yes, yeah, talking Planet of the Apes, hominids and whatnot. Yeah, the Starchild Skull, which we'll get to. Just giving Lloyd Pye a bit of a shout out because he's been a very diligent researcher on the pre-hominids, and like I say, the apes and Neanderthal and whatnot, they were built different to us. There's much stronger bones, much more muscle. So this, we saw with a skull comparison on the Lloyd Pye video, which links will be in the description for that if you want to check it out. But yeah, we saw in the comparison that there's been a sudden jump to the way that we're shaped, a sudden change. And that's why he's saying there's bits missing from, Charles Darwin's theory of evolution when it applies to us. There's something missing. Now, there have been some people that's made the claim that we're being visited by ETs and whatnot. So we'll just read through a couple of bits of this, some of the speculation, and then we'll jump onto the interesting things about the Starchild. So if we just get me off screen here so you can see it. So Canada, this why it triggered me to look into this, and I've just pulled a thread. This Canadian official said that a while ago that that aliens are for real. So Canadian's former defense minister claims aliens are real, and I remember him mentioning that it was even in the Canadian press. So he thought we might be getting disclosure a few years ago, because they've been saying, the Human Genome Project claims that some of our non-coding DNA has been edited by aliens. It can only have been non-natural. It's unnatural. Anyway, but we'll get to that bit. So, the former defense minister. Apparently, there's humanoid-esque races called the tall whites living among us. And if you ever, in Vice, this is from Vice.com, it says, have you guys ever seen the video of Canada's former defense minister, Paul Hellyer, chatting freely about how aliens are real in the presence of 6 American congressmen in Washington? As someone who spent all winter stuck watching this guy, I said he was watching Netflix, and then he started watching YouTube videos because he'd been watching X-Files. Anyway, what's particularly intense about Hellyer's speech is that he's not some kooky guy off the street. He claims an alien came through his bedroom window in the middle of the night to abduct or probe him, saying he's not some kook. Okay, so who is Hellier? So is a Canadian former defence minister, Paul Hellier, who's an educated engineer and an author who served a long career in Canadian politics. The man undertook the enormous task of unifying Canadian Navy, Air Force, and Army into one single organisation known as the Canadian Forces. He also helped found Canada's only international UFO landing pad at St. Paul's in Alberta. Based on his impressive career, every unbelievable claim he makes about alien life must be 100% true, right? Says the writer, not necessarily. But he should have some insights. If he's a Canadian politician and he was the guy that was tasked to unify the armed forces in the defense minister position, then he's a heady guy. So here's the breakdown of what he claims. So I only mentioned this because he reckoned that there was this claim about the genetics being changed, which we'll get to. Here's a breakdown of his initial claims on the videos and his public speaking stuff. There are at least 4 types of alien species that have been visiting Earth for thousands of years. So if they've been intermingling with us for thousands of years, there would have been a lot of genetic changes, I would have thought. The different species probably have different agendas and should not be considered as one entity. But that, for me, seems like common sense. One of the species is called the tall whites. Hellier claims that 2 of them are working with the United States. He also says that there were live ETs on Earth at this present time, which I can believe. They might have a base somewhere, or they might even live here. And he says that there's a cabal formed by the Council of Foreign Relations and the Bilderbergers and the Trilateral Commission and an international banking cartel, the oil cartel, and select members of military are planning to create a one-world government. And they are the ones suppressing the information about aliens from the public. But of course, at the most recent extraterrestrial testimony, Paul's first involvement with the aliens awareness movement was he got involved with the alien awareness movement in 2005 as part of a 40+ year crusade to let the world know about aliens. So he's been doing it throughout his entire career then, telling people about this, and still got that in top positions. So he confessed to the Toronto audience that he had once seen a UFO with his wife and friends 2 years after Paul asked for public disclosure from the governments on alien technology that could potentially save us. Yeah, like the energy crisis, we need the energy systems. So yes, Paul's ideas might be a little out there, not so much these days because now we're allowed to talk about UFOs. But his resume certainly lends some credence to his assertions, and that's what I'm saying. When these people are coming out these days and saying, this thing's kind of like for real, you got to wonder about it. And so this goes on to this Dr. Hall. It starts mentioning this Dr. Hall, which gets a bit weird here. So he's saying the tall whites, and specifically piqued the writer's interest here. Is thinking, who are these guys? What are they up to? Anyone who's researched the tall whites will know that the former airman, Dr. Charles Hall, is the go-to expert on the tall whites, as Hall spent 2 years working as a weather observer on a military base in Nevada desert. That is, of course, where the tall whites live. So he's claimed. Charles says they travel through space in egg-shaped pods because that's simply a more efficient way to speed across space. Okay. Just took some writing creativity privileges there, I think. Yes, some intrepid believers were able to spot large egg-shaped objects on Google Earth in a precise location where Hall said the tall whites lived. But the writer's being sarcastic, saying that means they totally exist. Who's these sarcastic writings? But yeah, okay. As people find some of these egg-shaped things, there's one of the really famous UFO sightings was that police officer. Is it Lonnie Zamora? And he said there was egg-shaped as well. I remember that. But anyway, right, let's move on. So there's people talking about aliens, just want to make that point, and with genetics. And the question's been asked about genetics is that recently in Science Alert, we've got this. I'll say recently, it was from 2020, but in the last few years, it says we've got this article from sciencealert.com. It says some humans are carrying DNA from unknown ancient ancestor. A new analysis of genomes of the most famous of ancient humans, Neanderthals and Denisovans, has revealed an as yet unidentified ancestor for both our species. A branch of our distant family tree without any known label to put to it. So we've got a whole new hominid branch ancestor thing. Okay, so the study also finds further evidence of interbreeding between humans and Neanderthal, but places it much earlier than we had previously known, some 200,000 to 300,000 years ago. Wow, so we must have been around before that then, to get to that point to be interbreeding. So we're even older than that then. This interbreeding would therefore add new insight into the increasingly complicated history of the emergence as a species and our migration out of Africa. There you go. There you go. So they're having to say at this point, yeah, there's definitely a kind of other stuff to be accounted for, which is where the alternative theories come in that they've been poo-pooing all this time. There is a possibility that an unknown ancestor is actually Homo erectus, an archaic human ancestor thought to have died out more than 100,000 years ago. But as no Homo erectus DNA has ever been found, we won't know for sure. And here it says, what I think is exciting about this work, it demonstrates what you can learn about deep human history in jointly reconstructing the full evolutionary history of a collection of sequences in both modern humans and archaic hominids, says the biologist Adam Seipel from Colorado Springs Harbor Laboratory in New York. Okay, so they're saying that there might be an unknown ancestor that we're not accounted for, but that's in mainstream. And now we're looking in the nationalpost.com. Why scientific world is a buzz about published papers because it could permanently change human DNA. A Chinese study could mark the first time a human embryo's genetic line is so altered, the changes would carry through to future generations. And this is from April 2015. So since April 2015, at least, and in public, we're saying that genetic manipulation of the human genome you can do it to one person in the embryo state, and then that will carry on. So if they have any kids, then that whatever changes you made will carry on. So we know for a fact that genetic manipulation, permanent genetic changes can be done just by these studies, that we can do it now. So then my question is, if we can do it now, then could some ETs have done it in the past? And the Starchild Skull I'm going to show you in a moment, well, is that an example of what it looks like to hybridize us, is the question. So, right, it looks like we're coming to another break time situation. So I'll grab another one of these and we will have a little break. Oh, what's going on here? Click that there. Right, yeah, I'll have a little break and Examine's podcast. And after the break, I'll start getting into the details about what's weird about this Starchild Skull. Just bear with me with these short messages. Are you ready to dive headfirst into the enigmatic, mysterious world of the occult, troubled mind? Join the Arcane Observer on an explorational journey and unravel the ancient secrets, challenges and boundaries of conventional knowledge and thinking, with fearless exploration into the occult with the Arcane Observer Minds Radio, unraveling the mysteries of a supernatural journey. Unlike your typical podcast, fearlessly embarking on a quest to demystify the occult, examining the paranormal, the esoteric traditions, and the unexplained, with open minds and a thirst for understanding. Explore ancient wisdoms, supernatural encounters, rituals, magic, conspiracy theories, and occult in popular culture. Whether you're a seasoned practitioner or a curious observer, or someone just starting to peer into the shadows, the Arcane Observer invites you to join the electrifying expedition to the heart of the anomalies digital broadcast.
Are you looking for a way to connect with your spirituality? Look no further than Spirit Magica Crystal Shop. They have a wide variety of crystals, from amethyst to obsidian and more, including crystal packs, unique deals, and amazing customer service. The products are made with the highest quality materials and are backed by their satisfaction guarantee. Spirit Magica Crystal Shop are committed to helping you find the tools and resources you need to live a magical life. So what are you waiting for? Visit Spirit Magica today. Use coupon code Troubled Minds, all one word, at checkout for 25% off your first purchase.
Half man, half dog. I'm my own best friend.
In less than a minute, Lone Star will be ours. Prepare to attack. What happened? Where are they? I don't know, sir. They must have hypersense on that thing. We'll find them. Yes, sir. Prepare ship. Our light speed. Our light speed is too slow. We're gonna have to go right to ludicrous speed. Ludicrous speed. Sir, we've never gone that fast before. I don't know if the ship can take it. What's the matter, Colonel Sanders? Chicken? Prepare ship! Prepare ship! For ludicrous speed!
What the hell was that? Spaceball what? They've gone to plan.
Now hear this! Now hear this!
Why don't we take a 5-minute break? Smoke if you got 'em. Take her out of hyperactive. Take her out of hyperactive. They must overshot us by a week and a half.
Give me that, you petty excuse for an officer! Now hear this!
Sir, hadn't you better buckle up?
Now buckle this! Now hear this!
What the hell am I looking at?
Now hear
When
this!
does this happen in the movie?
Now. You're looking at now, sir. Everything that happens now is happening now.
Or is it happening now? Perhaps it is. Maybe it's going to happen now. Anyway, thanks for bearing with me with the break there. Thanks for Minds Podcast. With me, your incredibly dashing and even more famous host, Liam Martin, and Eggs of Minds Podcast. We were looking at Lloyd Pye, his work on hominids, and the Starchild Skull, which we're going to get up to now. Get a picture of that up. Let's fade that out. Right, yes, you can find Eggs Amongst Podcasts on Spotify or your regular podcasting platforms, including Apple Pods and Google Pods, that sort of thing. And yeah, you've also got a channel on Rumble, YouTube, Twitter. Somehow it projects to Twitter. I have no idea how it does that. And then I just started a Twitch channel as well, if anyone wants to go on there. And soon I'm going to work with Mike and start going live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And if you want to check out any of my friends and see stuff they're doing, links in the description for that. And you can go to troubleminds.org/friends and get an extensive list of all the associated people in the gang. And please like, share, and subscribe for both them and me, if you don't mind. Anywho, back on then. So Lloyd Pye, let's get some images up. Did I get one ready? Let's have a look. Let's just get a Google image up of this. I think I did get one ready, but I don't know. We'll have a look. We'll just get a Google image for those on the video. You just type any browser. I just happen to be using Google on this one just to show that it's so prominent, it's everywhere. And yeah, so we've got an image on the video of a comparison of this Starchild skull next to a regular human skull. And I would say it's about a third smaller, I would say. Check a third off of that. It's got much more of a bulbous head. Kind of bulbs out a bit at the sides. Come around to the top. Oh, I better share the screen so you can see it. Get me off there. Right, here we go. So yeah, so this skull then on the sort of right side of this image on the right here for those seeing, yeah, it's got quite a bulbous head. And you can see that the front cover of his Starchild Skull book. It shows a kind of fleshed out image of what this creature might look like, and it's just got a really bulbous head, you know. And the cranial structure at the top's not quite made the same. The way that how the babies have a soft spot on the top of the head. The way those plates are formed is completely different. So we'll have a look at some of the strange things that's concerning this skull then. So I've got I had a link here there was some mystery stuff about this science thing. Okay, I'm just quickly mention this because we're talking about aliens and Helia. And he'd mentioned something about in the Canadian National Press talking about the Genome Project have found some bits of DNA that can't be there natural. They must have been engineered. I tried to find this to see if it was for real and stuff, but I can't seem to find much information on this guy. So the idea is that there's supposed to be a professor called Sam Chang that's supposed to have scientists find, ET genes in the human DNA. And it's supposed to be this guy called Professor Sam Chang. But I've looked it up and I couldn't really find anything about it. I find in the sort of forum area on Graham Hancock's website, some people was mentioning it and saying that they tried to look this guy up and they couldn't find it. And you'd think, a professor would have some associate some university attached to him or something. And somebody had asked the guy, I came across this website in which John McPherson, Associate Professor, Department of the Human Molecular Genetics at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, Texas, and a former co-director of the Genome Center. So someone's asked him, because he was a lead scientist at the university's efforts to map the human genome. So somebody had asked him if you've ever heard of Professor Chang, but he says it doesn't really ring a bell. But there's lots of people working on a project. It might just have not known all of them. But when you go to search this Chang guy up and this source of this story, the ET genetics have been found in our DNA. It don't really pan out. Can't really find any. I don't think it might be a fluff story. It's kind of a bit made up or exaggerated. Might be true, but I never found it again. It was about 10 years ago, so you'd think it'd be somewhere. And when you list Professor Chang's on a university listing, you can imagine there's like over 6,000 entries of a S Chang. So it's a bit of a non-starter trying to find that one. But even if it's not alien genetics, human culture influence our genetics. Just the cultural changes that ETs bring could change our genetics too. So the way we eat, cook, explore, and interact with others can influence our genes, says Jason G. Goodman. So how will modern culture shape our children? And it says, you shouldn't be able to drink milk. It starts with this. And this is from a BBC article by Jason Goldman from April 2014, bbc.com. And he points out that you shouldn't be able to drink milk. Your ancestors couldn't drink milk. And it's only in the last 9,000 years that human adults have gained the ability to drink milk without becoming ill. Children could manage it, but but it was only when we turned our hand to dairy farming that adults acquired the ability to properly digest milk. In turn, it turns out our cultures, with a history of dietary farming and milk, have much higher frequency of lactose tolerance and its associated gene rather than those who don't. So drinking milk is just one example of a way that traditions and cultural practices can influence the path of our evolution. So culture and genetics are traditionally thought to be two separate processes, but researchers are increasingly realizing that they are intimately connected, each influencing the natural progress of the other. So scientists call it the gene-culture co-evolution. What does it matter? The question is asked. If we can pin down how cultural influences our genetic makeup and how the same processes apply to other creatures too, we can better understand how the way we act in society today could influence our future. All right, so we can predict the future and predict how we're going to change and make changes now if we see it going in a direction we don't want. Right. So other examples of how culture influences our genes is a relationship between yam farming and malaria disease, malaria resistance. Throughout much of Africa, people are in constant battle with malaria, according to the CDC. In 2010, there were some 219 million cases of malaria reported worldwide, and 660,000 were fatal. More than 90,000 of those died and lived in Africa. But there are some people who've seen, basically what it was saying was this, that there's sickle cell. If you've got sickle cell, it protects you from malaria. So here's an evolutionary option where your body might choose to have a sickle-shaped cell. The oddly shaped blood cell of sickle cell disease can lead to blockages in blood vessels, which in turn can cause pain and organ damage. Under normal circumstances, evolution keeps sickle cell disease to a minimum because it can be so harmful, it can reduce life expectancy. But because it's a biological quirk, it says, but because of a biological quirk, the sickle cell gene might actually protect humans against malaria. So in some parts of the world where malaria infection rates are extremely high, like in Africa, natural selection might actually favor people with sickled cells. In a gamble, to protect against malaria might be preferable to even the potential costs of suffering from sickle cell. Okay, so our genes can change by our environment and can be changed by culture as well. Okay, because in order to grow yams, all they did was cut trees down so they can grow yams. But that meant more standing water was lying around. So that meant more malaria. And so then the sickle cell wins out in that cultural genetic scenario. So it's kind of weird. But anyway, I got this picture of the skull up then. So I had this 20. Where's this 20 weird facts? Let's have a look. How human culture scientists. I thought I had 20 weird facts. Where's that gone? Yeah, let me just check my little script thing because I'm sure I've got a link here somewhere. I've got a mini bonus alien, actually. Oh, we got this. Where is it? I've got a mini humanoid. Oh, this is the thing about the extraterrestrial genes. I was claiming that. That's where we couldn't find Professor Chang. That. Here we go. New York Post. DNA from a non-human alien corpses from an unknown species. Again, is it more ancestor stuff? Is it ET? Just quickly read this one. You can see the image on screen for the video. It's a very small, well, small on skin. That's what they all are. Yeah, the mystery of the non-human mummified remains found in Peru deepened this week when the analysis claimed that 30% of the DNA is not human, but is rather from an unknown species. Controversial journalist and UFO enthusiast Jose Jaime Maussan. Yeah, Jose Jaime Maussan from Mexico. Yeah. He's in the team of scientists who performed DNA analysis of what remains of the remains and found that 30% of his genetic material was not from any known species. Mexican researchers who appeared beside him as he testified before National Congress also claimed the figures were authentic, comprising of just a single skeleton, according to UK's Daily Star. While it remains unclear what the other 70% of the so-called aliens' DNA matched up with, Masana argued that the DNA analysis confirms that the mummies are definitely not human. And they don't look human. They've got very non-human shaped heads, very small mouths, eyes that point up to the corner and kind of bulbous again. So, yeah. This is the first time, this is from the Agency for Getty Images. It says, this is the first time an extraterrestrial life has been presented in this manner, he said in a transcript of the hearing obtained by the Daily Star. We have a clear example of non-human specimens unrelated to any known specimens on our planet. These specimens do not belong to our terrestrial evolution, he continued. They were not creatures discovered by a UFO crash. Instead, they were found in the diatom mines and later transformed into fossilized mummies. So they were already living here. Yeah, already living here. They're already people. So either they were born here or they've come here or what? So Hamid Masson goes on to argue that the public has a right to know about non-human technologies and beings. I say that too. This reality unites humanity rather than dividing us, he said. We are not alone in the universe and we should embrace this truth. Wise words from Jaime Masson there. And he has been a diligent researcher and really sort of making an effort with this stuff. So, right, let's try this. I'm sure these 20 mysterious facts. Here we are, secret rumors. Let's open this and get this on the share screen. Show what's up there. Wait for it to load. So this is 20 mysterious secrets of the Starchild Skull. So we'll get into some of these sort of weird details quick. Because time just really flies by on these things. I just don't realize. Okay, so 20 mystery secrets of the Starchild Skull. The Starchild Skull was accidentally explored in Mexico in 1930. Even to this day, it stands as one of the most unsolved mysteries in human civilization. Was the baby born due to lovemaking between UFOs and humankind? I don't know about the UFO itself, but anyway. When was the baby born? When has it died? Here are the top 20 mysteries about the skull that still remain unsolved. Okay, so number 1, mystery about the parents of the baby. Immediately after the discovery of the skull, contemporary experts examined it and came up with the verdict that it was a baby that was the outcome, of aliens and humans, right? Obviously, that theory got rejected straight away. It's got abnormally larger, bigger size compartments for the eyes. It's much bigger than a human infant. So the eye sockets are way bigger than they're supposed to be. The skull is even larger than the average size of a human adult. Oh, okay. It must be so bulbous then, because it looks shorter, in height-wise. But it ain't got a jaw attached to it either, so I don't know how that works. In fact, it's got a kind of cross kind of feature in the middle, so don't know how that works. That maybe it's missing a jaw, maybe it didn't have one. But yeah, so moving on. Yeah, skull is larger than average size humans, even though it's thought to be a child's, or maybe a child's. It's got an abnormal deformation of the skull, like the bulbousness, the shape of it, it's so round. Mysteries about the skull intensified as it features abnormal deformation and that modern science is yet to comprehend. Number 5, unusual thing. Unusual position of the optic nerve. Contrary to the usual location, the optic nerve canal in this skull was situated towards the bottom. The aging of the skull. Some advocated that the skull should be at least 900 years old, though others contradicted. Neither were able to determine an actual age. Okay, so no one's exactly sure how old it is. The guess in maybe 900. DNA testing conducted in 2011 explored and found that there's a major portion of it as yet to be known to modern science. We talked about the DNA. A lot of it's unknown. So unknown genetics, they can't identify it with anything on Earth. And I always find this is a strange one, number 8. It's got strange fibers found inside the skull. A microscopic evaluation revealed some strange fibers that are likely formed due to some biological contamination not known to modern science. Or maybe it's not contamination. Maybe it's supposed to have fibers growing inside its sort of skull bone and make it stronger, wouldn't it? That's what you do with carbon fiber. You have fibers in with the car, It makes it stronger. You can get special fibrous paint as well. It's fibers trapped in it, and it's to help resist against earthquakes, so your buildings can wobble a bit. Number 9, mysterious thing about it. Scientific testing revealed that the skull contains aluminium in abnormally high extent. There's a lot of aluminium in it. So that's different as well. As another different thing. Number 10 of these mysteries of this Starchild skull is it related to the cause of death. The exact reason of the death of the child is still unexplored or unknown. 11, strange thing. What was the child's age at the time of death? Though it initially appeared that the scientists, from the condition of the teeth, that it probably died at the age of about 6, further researchers hinted that the child was a bit older. Okay, so they're not quite sure of the age either. The ethnicity of the child is a bit of a mystery. Though it was initially assumed that the baby, and they're calling it a baby or a child, which is it, but its skull's the size of an adult. Okay, so this baby, quote, is from, they're saying it was from the haplogroup C, a community. Another female skeleton discovered alongside this skull exhibited that the female belongs to the haplogroup A. Okay, so part of it, they've got some ethnicity for it, but some of it's completely unknown. The frontal sinus area is just not present at all. We just don't have one. All right, so maybe it's got no nose, or just two little holes, nostrils or something, or who knows, right? It's a really small nose. The size of the inner ears is abnormally large compared to the average size of a normal human. So that's another difference, a big major difference. The location of the ears and the eyes on the skull are notably lower than the position in usual human skull cases. The eye sockets also feature less depth. They're not as deep, but they're much larger, like wider. The lower face, in comparison, in the usual cases of humans, lays lower, and the size is much smaller. So yeah, so the bottom bit is a lot smaller, but the top bit, that brain bit, a lot bigger. The cheekbone of the skull features abnormally smaller size than average of the bone of human beings. And the last mysterious thing is that the size of the chewing muscle is almost half the size of that of the muscles in mankind. It's got 20 strange things. And there's 21 actually as well. There's one more that I know that from researching this, I'm glad I remember this bit because it's not mentioned it there. But it's the actual skull itself is technically not bone. I remembered saying somebody talking about, it was probably Lloyd Pye, talking about how it's closer to tooth enamel. Do you know what I'm saying? So I asked the ChatGPT about this actually. Let's have a look. See if we can find it. Tooth enamel. Professor Chang bit. Yeah, let's have a look on my script. Yeah, because this thing's it's not technically bone. Is the deal? Because it's not quite the same. It's more. They said it's more like tooth enamel. And remember that it's 3 times stronger than. It's supposed to be stronger than a human skull. This one, and it's made something that's similar to our teeth are made rather than bone. A little bit different. It's more like tooth enamel. So then I got thinking, yeah, if you've got this kind of lightweight, bony type structure, sort of thing, and having fibers going through it, it makes you extra strong, doesn't it? So maybe that was the reason for the sort of tooth enamel situation, you know, but that's another major difference. Yeah, I thought I had a write up for that, but yeah, it's another major difference that I thought was an odd one because it's not properly bone. Do you know what I mean? It's not. So it's like, well, what's going on here? Because it's got these 20 differences, and then it's not even properly made of bone the same as us. It's made more like of tooth. So that seems way odd, doesn't it? So that is either then, what is it? Is it an ET, right? Or is it a completely different species that used to live? That's totally different to us. And if that's the case, we saw that other little mini, kind of like that mummified tiny little thing. So I don't know. You know, so we get a little image of that up since I just mentioned it. Where is it? Here we go. Oh, I've lost it. But anyway, yeah. So, I mean, yeah. point is, if its eyes are bigger and its head's in a different position and it's the sinus bit's wrong and that's wrong, and the way that if you read the book or just watch the thing on YouTube that I recommended, Lloyd Pye's website, we told you about the book. It explains a lot about how the cranium forms and the kid gets a human baby gets a soft spot near the top, but this thing's got a different number of plates and they're growing together different. So it's like, and it ain't got the soft spot. So I think it had already formed, but it formed different. So then it can't be a baby then. Or it might be the opposite, that it's still got the soft spot. But anyway, yeah, it's just formed different. The plates, they're almost like tectonic plates, like the way continents go together on the top of your head, the way they sort of grow together. That's why when you see a skull, it looks like it's got these like cracks. And that's that's where they meet together. So, I mean, have a look at it. I definitely recommend check his website out. And he's got, because you can read a bit about it. You can see where his books are on www.lloydpye.com. That's LLOYDPYE. Yeah, Lloyd Pye. You can, and maybe you're a researcher. Maybe you've got something specific that you want to kind of work on. We've got his YouTube channel as well. Let me just get to that. So yeah, you can go on just Lloyd Pye for the YouTube channel, and then yeah, you can go and check this stuff out. Links are in the description for that. I always put them in as a hyperlink, so you should just be able to click them. But I don't know if it'll work that way. But yeah, Lloyd Pye, just type it in YouTube and have a listen about this stuff, because I think there are missing species, and we've definitely had ancient civilizations. Our history only really starts after the last ice age, and that's only that's less than 20,000 years ago. Well, as we've seen earlier, we're at least 300,000 years old. So it's there's way more, and evolution can happen in big jumps. And so is that a natural thing, an environmental thing? Is that a cultural revelation, a technological revelation, or is that intervention with something? So that's the thing to ask. So that's the question I'm going to leave you with tonight. And I want to, for a change, I'm going to remind you to please like, share, and subscribe. And if you find anything of value, you feel like donating towards equipment and things that keep breaking that have to fix and replace, then that would be really awesome. And you can find it on Spotify, streaming live on, looks like the Rumble thing worked, just forgot to change the title. So yeah, streaming live on Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Also went on Facebook today. I don't know if that worked. I forgot about that. I tried to go on live on Facebook. I started a Facebook group. And you can find me on Spotify and all your regular podcast platforms. It's me, Liam Martin, an Examines podcast, signing out on this show about Lloyd Pye and his work with pre-hominids and looking into some ominous genetic stuff, ETs, and the Starchild Skull, which I think you should go and check out yourself, because some really weird things about it. And it's nice for it to open up slowly and let yourself process it. So I say go and check it out. Do your own homework. Don't just believe me. And contribute. Join the conversation. And also, tune into the Examines podcast tomorrow night, 10 p.m. GMT, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. I'm back on time tomorrow. See you later. And tune into the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting.
And when you say the Western countries would bear some responsibility, in what sense do they bear responsibility?
They should go through it.
Look at it through Moscow's eyes. Since the Clinton administration in the 1990s, the U.S.-led West has been on a steady march toward post-Soviet Russia.
This is a weapons demonstration.
Began with the expansion of NATO in the 1990s. Bush then further expanded NATO all the way to Russia's borders. Then came the funding of what are euphemistically called NGO.
I don't know if you know this, but I don't speak Russian!
This is not what we agreed to. They promised me suits and they promised me drones.
Everything will be okay.
This is not what I wanted.
The political action group funded by the West, operating inside Russia. Then came the decision to build missile defense installations along Russia, allegedly against Iran, a country which has neither nuclear weapons nor any missiles to deliver them. Then comes American military outpost in the former Soviet Republic of Georgia, which led to the War of 2008. And And now the West is at the gates of Ukraine. That's the picture as Moscow sees it. And it's rational, it's reasonable, it's hard to deny. Let's ask ourselves this. Who precipitated this crisis?
Anyway, carry on.